So, if you don't know who Creed is, Creed was a band that was very, very popular in the early 2000s, and they are going through what I have dubbed a Creedessance right now. They have blown back up. They've found their way back into the public consciousness here in America and seem to be, in a way, synonymous with the idea, at least to me, of a desired return to Americana.
Yeah. Some months ago, there was this viral tweet that got millions of views of them performing at, I believe, was that them performing at the Super Bowl?
Yep.
In what year was that?
That was like 2001, I think.
And it says, "Remember the country we used to be."
Yep.
Where they're singing Higher. And now they have just announced they're doing a reunion tour called the Summer of '99 tour.
I love it. Even the name is awesome.
I'm pretty sure it's already sold out on pre-sale tickets. And I just love Jack Posobiec constantly tweeting Creed updates and losing his mind.
He said as well.
Everyone is listening to Creed again. The band is reunited. Sports teams are riding the energy to victory. America is returning. You're welcome.
And okay, so here's the thing. The Texas Rangers, who just last night won the World Series, I found this like over a week ago. If you look at this here, it says Creed went to the Rangers game and sang Higher with the crowd because it was revealed that the team sang the song in the locker room. And it was what they believe is their lucky charm to spur them on to victory.
Yes.
And they won the World Series last night and then sang it as they celebrated. I've got the clip here, so let's actually watch this for a second.
They're baseball players.
They're not singers, exactly.
Incredible energy.
But the point is that what we're seeing right now is a return to Americana.
And there was also a video Jack Posobiec tweeted of Kirk Cousins from the Minnesota Vikings saying, "We've begun listening to Creed before every game. We'll keep doing it. They are taking us higher."
Yep. He says, "I gotta say it. Creed," Cousins said after the game. "I'm getting my ankles taped pregame because I try to get them taped as late as possible. And I'm sitting there on the table and suddenly Higher comes on. And Garrett Bradbury is doing some body work next to me. And he goes, 'Forget this. I got to go enjoy this with the boys.' So he gets up and goes to the locker room, and I get my ankles taped, and we go in, and it's really good morale. And they apparently, at least from what I've been told, or at least what the infographic said, the Vikings have not lost since they started playing the song before the games. So it just feels to me like it is representative of this desire for the culture to go back to something before it felt like we moved away from actual Americana into a more manufactured Hollywood industry. Like I was reading this really interesting article about why Hollywood, or why the music industry, the pop music industry, moved away from rock and roll and towards hip hop music. And they were saying, so that was where we started talking about, like, was it a psyop that just one day Creed and Nickelback were off limits? You were suddenly not allowed to like them lest you be derided by your friends.
It was kind of a meme.
Yes.
Like people hated on Nickelback and Creed as a meme, but they didn't really put their own independent thought into it.
That's 100% true.
There was a documentary that just came out about Nickelback that was like what it's like to be the most hated band in America, even though they sell out they sell out stadiums, right?
It is a lot to do with the demographic change in this country, for sure.
Yeah. So
but at least rock and pop being supplanted in popularity by hip hop and rap.
Yeah. I do have I don't know if I want to play here's what they're talking about. I wonder if we can even.
All of the hot, skinny cheerleaders.
Yeah. If you look at the video, I mean, this is about as American as it gets.
I mean, it's over the top, absolutely, but it's also absolutely wonderful.
You said the men should be handsome and the women should be va-va-voom. Right?
Yes, that's the idea.
It's the whole thing is aspirational. Everything about that is aspirational.
Yeah, and
and there's not a bunch of lights and props and
just a guy
noise.
That guy's kind of a prop.
But it's like it's so much more low key than Super Bowl performances are now.
Yeah, it's kind of
where it's not about the music anymore. It's just about the circumstance and just making things as ridiculous as possible. This is just a stage.
Yeah.
This is just a stage and people playing instruments on a stage.
It was a beautiful, and I think what you just said hits the nail on the head. It was aspirational.
Absolutely, yeah.
Music these days, at least mainstream, doesn't feel that way. So much of it feels cynical, which is like I had a tweet about that last night. It wasn't in relation to music; it was in relation to movies and entertainment. I said all the shows that I really, really loved from the 2010s and the early 2000s, they had an underlying like reverence for humanity that I find missing from almost all entertainment these days. Like even the bad guys or the damaged people were able to find their way back to redemption, and that was what was so great about it. But even the song name "Higher" is it seems to fit in that mindset, right?
It's the idea that this is too hokey is kind of what had kind of took hold. The idea that aspirations, that trying to better yourself or looking at the bright side, those ideas became kind of hokey. In 2006, I released a record called The Fall of Ideals. And the whole point of that title was the fact that people stopped looking at the ideals that have made our country, the United States, one of the greatest countries that's ever been conceived of. It takes a population that believes in itself to make a great country, and it takes aspirational ideas to believe that you can achieve if you're going to believe in yourself. If you have nothing to aspire to, you can't believe in yourself at all, because there's nothing to, what are you going to believe you do? Just be average and live and eat yourself to death or whatever. People need things to aspire to.
There's a $20 super chat here from Ryan the Eating Warrior. Says the psyop was to change the youth's mentality from the rebelliousness of rock to the degeneracy of rap and hip hop. I'm a 90s kid and saw it happen in the early 2000s. I buy that actually, but on a larger scale, it does feel like one of the earliest sets of like memedom before memes were even really a way of conveying information to one another. Like you were just one day, people said it's lame, and people just said, fell in line.
Marilyn Manson got a rib removed, and Nickelback sucks, and you're supposed to hate Nickelback, and it was just like supposed to be that way.
And
for
what you're saying is like it became. What it is it became cynicism because that type of aspirational value was seen as naivete. Yeah. Like you're not allowed to look at the world that way. Otherwise, you're naive.
This happened before 9/11, right? This performance.
The live performance. It was after 9/11.
It was after 9/11?
It was after 9/11.
Do you think the cynicism came after 9/11?
Later on down the line.
I mean, it did come like in linear time. Yes, it came after that, but it was
is there causation there?
I don't think that 9/11 had a whole lot to do with it, honestly. I think that it was the generation, like Generation X and the millennials really kind of brought that kind of cynicism to the forefront of pop culture.
Why do you think that is?
I think
why that generation?
Because Americans kind of moved away from God, and I'm an agnostic. You guys all know that, like, I'm not really a religious person, but the things that are held up as positive ideals in the Christian religion are really what has made Western society function the way that it does. And it's made Western society become this positive thing for a vast majority of the 20th century.
Even to what I was pointing out earlier, I said when I was watching those TV shows that I mentioned, it didn't mean that there weren't like bad characters in them. What it was that these characters that were flawed and damaged were able to find redemption. There isn't a whole lot of emphasis put on the notion of redemption these days.
Yep.
If anything, it's that you're damned forever once you make a mistake, and that's the culture we live in now. And that wasn't as prevalent back then. You could redeem yourself back then.
Why is the Creedissance happening right now?
I think
I feel like it's for sports teams. It's Which Way Western Man for picking your good luck charm. Is it going to be Shake It Off by Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Or is it going to be Creed?
Always go Creed.
You have to choose Creed.
Somebody pointed out that the Texas Rangers were the only team not to host a Pride Day this year.
Good for them.
Won the World Series. So
that's intentional.
That would be intentional. It is that. It's like it is almost in a way like I feel like it's almost like it's a meme in, meme out. So they memed it out of popularity, and now it's in a way being memed back into popularity.
Do you think it is a bit of a response to Taylor Swift?
I don't know about that. It could be. It could be seen as something like that. I see it as like the type of thing where the athletes might see it as a bit of a meme. Like back in the day, it wasn't cool to like these guys, but I'm going to be different, so I'm going to like them. And, behaviors, things that are in, things that are out really is just behavior and preference spreading amongst the population. So people who are now kind of pushing back on something that wasn't cool 20 years ago suddenly is again. The upside to that is it is kind of a return to the idea of late 90s, early 2000s Americana, which I think this country sorely needs right now.
Yeah.
It needs a little bit of faith in itself. It
does.
needs a little bit of like, look at us. We're awesome.
If anyone in the chat is trying to plan a vacation, Creed is hosting a cruise to the Bahamas with 3 Doors Down in April next year, called the Summer of '99 Cruise. So
is 3 Doors
check
Down
it out.
the one that Rob Thomas fronts? Who's the one that Rob Thomas
think
fronts?
so.
That's 3 Doors
That was
Down.
There's a TV producer named Rob Thomas who always puts Rob Thomas songs in his show because it's a meme that people think he's the Rob Thomas from 3 Doors Down. Or no, that's Matchbox 20, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
it says
it's
Brad
okay.
Arnold. I was like, I'm very sure it's not Rob
Matchbox
Thomas.
20. We corrected ourselves, and he always puts Matchbox 20 songs in his shows because people make fun of the fact that, and he mentions Rob Thomas, the singer, in his shows. We need a little bit of a return to that type of Americana.
Matchbox 20 got a lot of unnecessary hate as well.
Another, yeah.
Are you going to say it's justified?
No. Most of the bands that get a lot of hate it's usually unjustified. Usually bands that get a lot of hate that are well known, they're getting hate because it is cool to dislike them because they're popular.
Fall Out Boy got that.
And Fall Out Boy has written some amazing songs.
What's another band that you'd put on that list?
You're putting me
hard
on the spot.
to put somebody on the spot. Can you think of
Fall Out Boy got a lot of hate when they were rising to popularity, and then people were saying, emo is dangerous. They had a beef with the Killers. Like, literally, they did. They had a beef with the Killers because the front man of the Killers said that emo is dangerous, and it's like you're just being a music nerd.
The Killers are not nearly as good as Fall Out Boy.
Well, maybe back in like 2005 they were on a level playing field, but after that they just massively eclipsed the Killers.
Wasn't it also that they used to just say that Pete Wentz wasn't a good bass player?
Which is just stupid.
No bass players are good. Like there are if you're a good musician, if you play bass and you're a good musician, you play other instruments as well. There are no good bass players.
Got a
Pete Wentz
$20
probably isn't a good bass
Harryite, is that it? The Prince said, "Stop being agnostic, Fip. It's gay." Your name is Fip now?
Oh, they would put Fred Durst on that list in nu metal.
Nu metal as a genre did kind of overdo itself, but Limp Bizkit was awesome. Part of the reason that Fred Durst and Limp Bizkit got a lot of crap was because he was like one of the first dudes that was kind of out in the public eye with social media starting to sprout up around him.
Yeah.
It was weird because like Britney Spears and Fred Durst and Justin Timberlake, they were like the first young people that were in the public eye the way that people are today, I guess. Because in the 90s, like Axl Rose and a lot of the rock stars from the 80s and 90s, they didn't have the paparazzi on them all the time the way that pop stars do. Fred Durst was one of the first rock guys that was kind of getting that paparazzi treatment and stuff.
Even Kid Rock was kind of in that realm, but also he did his weird shift to country for a while, or did country. I watched this thing the other day where Papa Roach who's like still performing live to this day. I don't think they ever stopped touring or something like that. And the guy talked about how he moved away from nu metal. Again, these weren't my genres, at least at that time, but like it's kind of interesting because I always wonder now. It's like I grew up in a house that listened to like every genre of music. I gravitated more towards rap music at that time outside of a couple of bands. But like I've just always wondered why the culture moved away from it. And in this thing, he basically says like the album, the guy from Papa Roach said that they said you have to do this album and rap, and so he did it. And then after that, he's like, I don't want to do the rapping anymore. I just want to sing. And it wasn't until after that he was allowed to do that. But then they like lost the mainstream push that they were getting. I mean, he didn't want to do what they were asking him to do.
There might be some truth to that, but at the same time, like Papa Roach is bigger than they've ever been now.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much they lost. You know?
What is the point of touring if you never stop touring?
Well, the point of touring is playing shows so that way you can perform and obviously make money. But like All That Remains doesn't tour very much, but we're still going to go on tour. What you want to do is you want to essentially establish a fan base that will come to see you when you come to town and then not tour constantly.
Yeah, I thought it's supposed to be cyclical, not just something you just never stop.
It was when you put a record out, you'd put a record out, then for the next 18 to 24 months, you're touring and promoting that record, then you get done and go back in the studio and put another record out. It's the way it used to be when it was you were putting out full-length albums. Yeah. Nowadays, there's not really a lot of incentive to put out full-length albums.
Do you miss that? Do you miss the full-length?
No. I want to be able to tour when we want to tour. Do
you miss like the focus on full-length albums?
We haven't moved away from that yet. We're putting out our first record without that's going to be self-done without a label. Shortly, soon, so I don't know exactly what it's going to be like. After that, we might start putting out 3 songs every quarter or whatever, but we'll see. I don't know, and I don't really have much of a concern about putting out a whole record or putting out
I get excited like when like Rod Wave just released a new EP, like a new extended release of songs. I was like, I actually got on YouTube, playlist comes up and listen to every single thing through top to bottom. So there are artists where I get very excited when new stuff comes out, and I don't want just the one song released every however many months. It was very cool to be able to, I understand why they do it, because it's the same reason why shows want to release episodes weekly rather than dumping them all at once now, right? That's why Disney wasn't doing the typical streaming model where they just dump all the episodes at once. They want to be able to keep it in the news and relevant over the next month by releasing one every week.
Yeah,
I get why that's done, but we need to get back to aspirational entertainment, guys. And
do you think they're bringing back patriotism to sports?
I would love that,
so.
But that would be fantastic.
I hope so.
Is that achievable?
Your average sports kind of person, the person that enjoys sports, doesn't want to hate the country. They don't want to hate America. They generally don't want to think, oh, we suck. The point of watching sports is to rally behind your team, and that kind of impulse is going to make you want to rally behind your country, that same I'm on this team, I'm that kind of impulse is something that doesn't just apply to sports.
I was watching. Sometimes I get sent these old people make a lot of Kobe Bryant fan edits of best moments of his career. And it's just really funny because he seemed like one of the ones that they always include a lot of is when he was playing for Team USA in the Olympics. And I'm always like, wow, remember a time when the athletes just didn't hate being from America and were actually okay.
Isn't the next Olympics in America?
I don't know. That's a very good question. Summer or winter? Somebody in the chat might know the answer to that. I look at this I get the weirdest stuff. I get runners, distance runners who do tutorials and stuff. And there's this runner named Shari Hawkins who's got injured a long time ago and came back from a debilitating injury to make it on Team USA and win again. And I'm just she just she doesn't hate being from America. I'm it's so nice to see a young person who just doesn't hate being from here.
I feel like that is such not for lack of a better word, it's just a turnoff. I find that kind of attitude repulsive.
Yeah.
I'm I don't want to be around. If you're I hate America, it's I don't like you.
Yeah.
If you hate America, you should leave.
Yep. I mean, I don't
stand by that.
I don't hate that idea.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.